this soup kitchen thing. But the other thing I found as we were doing things, that a lot of people need food, they are hungry, but they will not go to a soup kitchen because they think that it's for homeless. So the soup kitchen we opened, and this is like the package I created in 2010. We named it One World Community Cafe. Okay, you see my T-shirt? So it's a soup kitchen. It's a soup kitchen, but we feed people with dignity. Basically, it's a cafe. You can come and eat. We have have a box in the corner, so you walk out if you want to drop some money. Then you could, or if not, so we are feeding people with dignity. So if a person comes in and drops 25 cents, they feel like they bought the food. So the whole idea is, and then the people coming to eat there, they need all these other services. So the Abu-Bakr's group, so what we have, I'm going to pass around this with some stuff here. We had the picture of the building that we have created. So so it's a soup kitchen. People come in, and we feed them, and then a social worker is supposed to be there from PHP, and they will kind of identify people they need other help. And we have offices right behind the restaurant. Essentially, the soup kitchen, we ended up after 6 years where he found this building where there was a restaurant, and then he was moving his offices there. He called me and said that, Zamir, I finally got the space where we could live in the same building, So we had a restaurant which was closed for 2 years, and then there are offices behind the restaurant. So we are in the same building, and so they come here, they get screened, and then their social workers bring them back and do the case management and screening and all that. So that's the concept. So this is like a one-stop, what we call. And I foresee that with Mosque's partnership, we could do co-branding, and we could create that model. Because it's already being implemented. We have already figured out how to do it. And so that would be very easy to replicate, and we could have that conversation in the afternoon after Jummah prayer. So I would like to, so Muslims Against Hunger basically started as a Muslim entity, then working with all these different churches and synagogues, and that's how we met Brian also. We did a Hunger Van mobile program with his group. So we basically have, what I am able to do is create brands. Muslims Against Hunger, you don't have to tell what that means, what business they are in. Faith Against Hunger, you don't have to tell. Now we have Interfaith, all these different groups. And then you have Hunger Van, which is more like a neutral, people who are not in faith, they could still participate in there, right? And then you have this soup kitchen, which is known as One World Community Cafe at Our Place. So that Our Place is really a shelter program. So it's a full, so this building where you're implementing this program, you have a soup kitchen, there are apartments on top of the building. So we could basically create a physical shelter in that building also. Or maybe we could have a shelters, and the shelter program is called Our Place. Again, instead of calling it a homeless shelter, it's Our Place. So people living there feel like that, they could eat at the restaurant, at the cafe downstairs, and they could get services, in the back offices there. So that's the whole package, what we have evolved in there. So you have Muslims Against Hunger, you have Faith Against Hunger, you have Hunger Van, and then you have this community cafe, and which provides all these bundled services, and a shelter program. So that's I foresee with the Mosque here, what we could end up doing is implement the same package which we are not dreaming here. We have already implemented that. It's already functional. So my vision was when we, last June when we started, to basically, in next 5 years, just listen to this, I think big. Because if you don't think big, you don't get anywhere. So my vision is, in next 5 years, to have 5 programs in 5 different cities. So what we are implementing in New Jersey. And so my target cities are Chicago and Washington, D.C. because they have similar conditions, similar needs, and we have big communities there, interfaith communities who could help us to put this thing together. So I would like to invite, at this point, Brother Abu-Bakr to go into the beyond feeding, what services we are offering under this community cafe. And his nonprofit is called People Helping People in Need.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you all. My name is Abu-Bakr Sakhu. I'm the CEO of People Helping People in Need. We operate out of the state of New Jersey, and I'm excited to be back in Chicago. I think I might have been here 25 years ago to a NA convention. So, I am happy to say that I came through the process that now I'm teaching and working with. Recovering addict, 27th year clean, and I got clean. And the first thing that started happening was I started getting my spirituality back. I started becoming more conscious of God, and then I wound up having these illnesses. So I wound up taking my Shahada with a Sheikh from Africa, and my goal was to get as close to Allah that I could before I died, because I figured I was out of here, and I was eager to start getting more spiritually centered and doing good and trying to get my plate full on the, and but that was 27 years ago, and I'm still here, so alhamdulillah. As a result of that, I stopped doing everything. The reason I stopped getting high was because my wife of 17 years got pregnant with my first child. And after 17 years, I decided, I got a child coming, I got to get myself together. I want to show them how to live, not tell them. And so I got clean, and I started practicing Chinese medicine. I had a couple of teachers, a master herbalist from New York, Dr. Wu, and a master herbalist from Jersey called Roger Rozier. And I started juicing and smoothies and vegetables, and I got into the system where it talks about the highest form of medicine is what you think, what you eat, what you think, and what you drink. So now I'm looking at food as medicine. And so I started studying Chinese medicine, and I started selling Chinese formulas, started doing holistic medicine and nutrition and lectures and workshops for about 5 or 6 years. And I started a website with all these Chinese herbs, and I was in it. And I ran out of money, so I had to get a job. So I got this job as a counselor after being in recovery, and then doing counseling with the nutrition and the herbs with a children's program a friend of mine was starting for adjudicated kids. You either come to our program or you go to jail. So I became the counselor, and as a result of my background in history, African history, culture, Egyptology, Chinese medicine, all of that came with me to the kids. And the program got so good, the kids was, these is bad kids. They were so into coming to the program because this is where they got peace. Even the car thieves were stealing cars to come to the program. And it got a little crazy, but they was willing to come, and they was coming every day. So we had a real high retention rate. After that, I wound up having to get another job, and I wound up being in prison as a counselor because I had to get money to build this website, and to keep my business going. Because I was tired of working for people, tired of getting fired, and I come back from the first when they was like, do for self, and I said, I need to start my own business. So that's how I got into that whole process mentally, of the Chinese medicine and the herbs and all of that. After not being able to support it financially and not being able to get a loan, I got this job at the prison as a counselor. And, you know, that went real well. I went and took alcohol and drug training, counseling, so I could be better at that because I was counseling anyway, that I might as well work with the brothers. Wound up getting fired from there because the prison guards wasn't trying to hear about recovery. And when I was talking to the young brothers, they was thinking that I was teaching them how to get high, or the prison guards didn't want to hear about recovery. So anytime you was working with the brothers in the prison, they didn't like it because they were starting to talk better sense and talking about getting themselves together and getting jobs, and I was a problem. I don't know how that worked, but so I lost that job. And I decided I needed to keep in touch with running my own business. So I wound up getting separated after I got clean because we couldn't deal because my wife considered me, I should still get high so she could run stuff. And I'm coming back, my man was coming back, I'm getting myself together. So we separated after a year. I'm trying to get to this quick. And 5 years later, I told myself I wasn't gonna get married, but I'm gonna keep myself open because Allah knows best. And I wound up getting married to my high school sweetheart. And she was working for a company called Brain Injury Association. She was a job coach. So she would get with people that had brain injuries at a rehabilitation center, different places. And she worked for an agency that had a state contract providing these guys jobs, anybody with a disability, well, especially brain injury, it was a specialty. And she came home one day and said, Abu-Bakr, they don't want to give me no more clients. The counselors that love me don't like my boss, who was the sister. And they said, we don't want to give you no more clients because we don't like her. So I said, well, maybe they could give them to you. So finally, we wound up finding that from the state of New Jersey, you can get a contract with the Department of Labor. She had exactly 2 years experience. I did my first contract. We got the contract after much effort because they made us come to Trenton because they didn't really want these black folks. We were the second black organization that provides this service in the state of New Jersey. So we got in, Allah was merciful. So ever since then, we've been providing employment since 17 years. We've been doing this particular contract for people with disabilities, any disability. After about 5 or 6 years, the people we were getting to place into employment, not just mental health, they started being substance abuse, re-entry, people coming from prison, and all kinds of, our folks, And most of the people that do this work are young white girls, and when the brothers come out, these agencies don't want to work with them. So that kept us fed, because they would give all of the worst to us. So to us, they wasn't the worst, they was us. So we was easy to work with them, and we had a real high successful placement rate because we know how to work with us, So that really kept us in business all of those years because all of the agencies would send us their worst folks. And now we work out of 7 different counties: Morris, Sussex, Warren, Passaic, Union, Somerset, and now Phillipsburg, where we opened up this new facility. So after about 6 or 7 years, we was getting these other guys from prison re-entry. I decided, and these guys wasn't keeping their job. They was going back to using, and the state was complaining because these guys that we were serving, they were sending us and paying us for, weren't staying clean. So I'm from recovery. So a friend of mine said, well, let's start a drug treatment program. He said that if you help me set it up, I'll give you 80% and I'll take 20. So I was down. I didn't know what I was getting into. So we set up the first program because it was important that in doing treatment, we do urine testing, group, individual sessions. So these guys is clean coming through the program. But the beauty of that was everybody in my treatment program qualified for the employment program. Now, I didn't have to wait for a referral. I was referring them, my people that was coming through treatment. So that kept us fed even more, So then treatment became my baby because I loved doing it. Coming through it, I realized that what was missing when I came through, and I was going to put that back in there so that people can have a better treatment potential and try to cut down the recidivism rate. So Samir was telling you that my wife started working with him while I was doing the treatment and he was doing the employment. Every time he had a feeding program, she would come volunteer. So that happened for about 10 years. So we had always been close. Because he had the feeding program, all of those guys, 90% had some kind of disability, substance abuse, mental health, they qualified for our program. So we would set up counselors there to work with them, because this shelter was like a day shelter. It wasn't a night shelter. After these guys come out of the regular shelter, they got to leave at 6 in the morning. They would come to the day program, where he would give them bagels, coffee, let them work on computers and find a job. In order to get benefits, you got to have an address. So that was their address. And we would do the assessments on them and bring them over to the treatment program or the employment program. That lasted quite a while, but we never really did business together in collaboration. So I had a program, same program in Morris County, had one in Trenton, and those closed down because I had some medical issues. Now I'm actually rebuilding the whole program from scratch. So I've done drug treatment for 12 years. Been doing employment with the state of New Jersey for 17 years. All of these are state contracts. So, contracts are fee for service. So they pay for themselves. That means treatment is free. But the contracts come with Medicaid, drug court, state parole board, and people with co-occurring disorders. So, we decided, and he's on my board, to collaborate together and join together to do the business together. So he's telling you I found this facility because I needed another location. I was tired of riding hour back and forth to Morristown and Trenton from where I lived. This place was right 5 minutes from my house. And I didn't know they had that kind of a drug problem. So, say for instance, the state of New Jersey has a map. You can go on their website. And it'll tell you every city in the state of New Jersey what the highest density population of drugs are. So my thing was go to the area that had the most drug addicts and had the less programs. That way you're not fighting for clients. Yeah. Because the hardest thing it is to get clients. So now, collaborating with Zamir, we decided to develop this model. So he does the same thing. He feeds the homeless up front. The idea is to go in and do assessments for the people that's coming in, whether they need mental health, substance abuse, employment. If they need that, they come down to my facility, which is at the end of the same building, and we do substance abuse, individual outpatient counseling, intensive outpatient counseling, which is 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, and it's really part-time. And the money is great, and that kind of keeps you in it too. So over the 12 years, my rate of recidivism is greater than the state's average because, again, we're working with us. We know how to talk to us. You know, we give them the history, the culture, everything we do, nutrition, health, all of that comes in the package. And so now that program has created, and we're doing a franchise model. My thing was to have 5 programs in the state of New Jersey, but now collaborating with Zamir, it's good at 1-2 punch. And the whole vision is, as a model, a franchise model, is to have a feeding program. And both of us are Muslims. It's like the first Muslim collaboration and program together in the country, actually. So we do the feeding program, we do come down to my program, and they get the drug treatment. Once they finish the drug treatment, because we're doing urine testing and counseling and psych evaluations, then they get a job. See, the state of New Jersey has an agency called the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. This program just celebrated 50 years. Is the longest social service program. I think it's in the country. Because all the people that have disabilities that go to work pay taxes. So they keep fueling the program. So I'm sure that program probably is here in Chicago too. But either way, most of the grants, programs for drug treatment and employment are now becoming fee for service because the grants are being abused by certain agencies. So then the model became collaborate, and in the collaboration, they're still losing a lot of money. So now they're breaking it down to fee for service, where you do the work, we'll pay you. You ain't gonna get this whole bunch of money, and then all of a sudden we don't know what happened, you know? So we're doing the fee for service. So the complete model is to do the feeding, to bring them in my program, to do the drug treatment, mental health services, then to put them in a job. And once these guys get a job, they need housing. Now, one of the philosophies is, how many times can you use one client? Because the hardest problem is getting clients. So now the client comes from his program to my drug treatment program. I use him again and put him in a job. Now he's got a job, he's got money. If I had a housing program, I could put him in housing. Because a lot of all of my contracts have a component for housing. But they'll pay for like maybe up to a year. So if we had boarding homes, we could put them in the homes. Since we got them a job, they could pay for that, or the state could pay for it to give them a year to build themselves up. Then if we had permanent housing, after a year having a job and getting yourself together, now we can put you in permanent housing. So if we can create all of these models and keep the same client from here to here, getting paid here, getting paid here, getting paid here, getting paid here, we can create something formidable. So this model is a franchise model, and the idea is to work on your business, not in your business. So working on your business allows people like me to just build the business up, put the pieces in place, and then keep creating, rather than getting tied down on the day-to-day grind, trying to micromanage all these guys. But you have to develop that model. So we're creating that model. And we know that this model can work anywhere in the country, because right now there's a heroin epidemic all up and down, all over the country. Especially, y'all know it's on the East Coast and in New Jersey. And so now they're talking about, they just put $1 billion into drug treatment. And one of the issues become, not an issue, but one of the good things is that, which is not, you know, everywhere you see on TV, what are they talking about? Recovery, rehab, I'm going to outpatient counseling. So the stigma is being lifted. So whether it's alcohol and drugs, whether it's employment, whether it's treatment, whether it's housing, all of these things work together. And the beauty of it is, as long as you stand with us in our programs, that decreases the recidivism rate. Because we're keeping you cleaner longer, following you, doing urine testing. By the time you finish with us, it's more likely you'll stay clean. Even though that rate is still, you know, the recidivism rate is still low. This way it could be higher. We can have a greater impact on society, greater impact on our family. Because when you come to counseling, it's individual counseling. It's intensive outpatient counseling, which is 3 days a week. It's aftercare. It's case management. And then when you go to the other employment program, the counselors from the state refer us to clients. We refer them our clients so they can refer them back.